My name is Steve Layton, and I travel the world finding amazing and delicious coffee for you to drink at home. Some make coffee difficult to understand and complicated, but here it's my job to make it easy and fun and tell you what's in my mug. Hello everybody and welcome to In My Mug, episode 434. Jeez, I just went back 2 years. Welcome, good to see you again, thank you for joining me. We'll go straight into this week's coffee. So, this week's coffee comes from Jocotales, comes from Alex, comes from Alex, who is a fourth generation coffee grower based in the town of Guatemala, which is next door, like literally they merge into each other. Antigua is the original home of Guatemala's capital. Moved around about, I think it's about 80 years ago, because they were sick of volcanoes going off and erupting all over the town, and they moved to Guatemala City. Antigua's history in coffee is long, one of the first places to be planted, really back in the day, and well known for its cup profile. This coffee is nothing like Antigua. It's kind of quite different. I'm tasting the coffee now, and I'm getting lots of like red berries, lots of fruit. It is a red Bourbon varietal, Bourbon being one of my favourite varietals. It is just so sweet and consistent and good. Hard to grow, low yielding, doesn't particularly be resistant to pest and disease, but gives an amazing cup profile. So selfishly, I very much like it. We should go and do this week's map bit so we can understand a little bit more about where the farm is. Hello and welcome to the map bit. There we were, there we're going. Across the Atlantic Ocean and across to Central America. But we're going to focus down on the country of Guatemala. So let's get down there. So zooming down to the country, neighbouring Nicaragua, and Guatemalans are fond of spicy stew called tapado, which is made by combining fish, coconut, banana and cilantro, whatever cilantro is. See, food tips on this podcast too. Maybe it could be called On My Plate. But let's get down to Guatemala, which is very, very close to Antigua. And there we've got the farm. Very, very good map bit, very clear. This is Alex. This is the first time I met him where I was getting terribly sunburnt. And I mean terribly sunburnt. I was quite ill for a couple of days afterwards. Didn't think I'd need any sun cream. Here's Alex picking the yellow catura that he has on the farm. And you can see he's so baby-faced, it's annoying. And this is the roof that I talked about, where his uncle's house, he was drying all of the coffee. It was the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen. It really is strange. And here's one of the volcanoes in the background that you can see from the farm. The whole town is surrounded by volcanoes. I think there's 3 in total, all in very close proximity, and still active. A couple of years ago when I was there, one of them actually erupted, and I got grounded for a few days. So the highest point is Volcan Chajmulco, which is 4,211 metres, and the lowest point is the Pacific Ocean. Oceans tend to be quite close to sea level, don't they? And that was the map bit. This is not boding well. I'm stuttering a bit here today, aren't I? But yes, that was the map bit. Great view of the volcanoes and the whole kind of area region. You can see how close Guatemala is next to Antigua. So the farm is a kind of owned by Alex's grandfather, and Alex manages the farm. He has been last 10 years getting more and more involved in the farm and doing really good things. The interesting thing that he's doing, and I'm fairly sure he's one of the first, if not the first in Guatemala, to really embrace the honeying process. So the honeying process is where you remove the cherry, get the seed, dry out the seed with all of the mucilage still on it. You can have different kinds of honeying. This is a red honey. This means majority of the mucilage was left on the bean. If you want to learn more about the honey process, we do have a video. If you go to the link on the screen, which is a link to my blog where I published it recently, it tells you all about the honeying process. From my friend in Costa Rica, which is where this really kind of comes from. But Alex decided that it would be a good thing to do a little bit more, make the coffee something unique that buyers would particularly be interested in. And I was very, very lucky to find him back in 2012 when he was at the very, very beginning of his journey. Let's go and look at this week's fact file, and we'll talk a little bit more about Alex when we get back. So, welcome to this week's fact file. As always, figures may change because we are idiots and can get things wrong. And it's also difficult to get exact information. But we're focusing on the country of Guatemala. So, Guatemala has 108,000 square kilometres of land devoted to coffee. We like square kilometres, not square miles here at Has Been. They are the 10th biggest coffee producer in the world. And they produce around about 3 to 4 million bags every year of coffee. Which is impressive for such a small country. Varietals, well, they have a lot of diversity, but we've got Bourbon, we've got Caturra, we've got Catayi, but there is an awful lot of other varietals out there. Coffee grown 1,600 to 2,300 metres above sea level, and you see a lot of different altitudes because of the volcanic regions. And we work with 10 farms currently in Guatemala. But one of my favourites is Jocotales, owned by Alex Ilacias. He processes it in the town of Antigua. It is a red honey process, has an altitude of 1,400 metres above sea level, incredibly close to Antigua, as I've kept saying all the way through. And this one is a red Bourbon varietal, one of my favourites, and a super, super tasty cup. And that was this week's fact file. So Alex, I think, conned his grandfather into giving him a very small proportion of the farm, a very small kind of lot of coffee to honey, and see whether he could find a market for it. Alex ploughed ahead and managed to find a buyer like me, to buy this coffee. When I first met him, he was whizzing around the streets of Ciudad Villa on a moped, trying to find where me and Raul, who was the guy who was helping me find Alex, where we were in the town. He found us and took us to the farm. I got the most sunburnt I've ever been because I thought we'd be up there for like 20 minutes and we were up there for about 2.5 hours. But we came back down to see where Alex was doing the processing, and I expected to go to some posh, nice mill and kind of see what was going on there. And there was no posh, nice mill to go to. It was the top of his uncle's house. I have some great photos on Flickr of Alex and me on the roof and seeing this coffee drying. It was crazy. It really, really was. Okay, we should go and do Roland's daft fact and go and fetch the espresso and the cappuccino.
Guatemala comes from the word Guatemalan, which means the place of many trees. Guatemala still has the largest protected tree reserves in Central America.
So we're back. Thank you, Roland, for quite an interesting daft fact for him. Let's go straight into the espresso while it's hot. So here, I get lots and lots of cherry. I get lots of those mixed berries that I get in here. And I get a lovely brown sugar sweetness. It really is that sticky, sweety flavour. And a lot of that I kind of put down to the honey process and Alex's skill. Let's go into the cappuccino. So in the cappuccino, it does develop, it does change. The high berry notes and the high cherry is there, but it's much kind of slower down. This is more the brown sugar, but also like a malty kind of Ovaltine finish. It really brings out the very best. In fact, I will go as far as to say that this is my favourite cappuccino so far this year. It really is a perfect cappuccino. The sweetness with the muted acidity, the sweetness of the milk hitting it, it really is. It really is fantastic. Right, time to wrap up. Thank you very much for joining me as always. Great to have you with me. Next week we've got a very interesting Bolivian, which we haven't had one for a little while, so it's good to see another Bolivian back. Yes, do remember, life is definitely too short for bad coffee.